Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're checking out a Vengeance Blood list. This is not perfect by any means because I only have one waltz. Outside of that though, this deck is pretty much perfect. All you want to do is replace the disagreeable demon with two more waltz if you have them, because that is going to be the better way to go. Unfortunately in this video I don't get a chance to use waltz, so you won't see him in the thumbnail because I've learned that mistake. But definitely a still really solid deck. I am tempted to maybe swap the disagreeables for blood moons, but I was trying to find a card that fit the purpose of this deck, which is to be aggressive while also having some decent defensive plays, which is what Waltz does. Waltz with the blood moon of course gives you extra synergy with Vengeance, but at the same time he's a very aggressive and defensive card. He's basically a pseudo ward, meaning your opponent pretty much has to kill him the turn he's played, or risk facing an evolved version which will deal 5 damage to the face most times. Disagreeable Demon does the same sort of thing, being able to gain ward if there is an enemy floor on board, which is the protective side of it, and being aggressive if there isn't any enemies on board, while at the same time giving you a chance to get into Vengeance by dealing 2 damage to your leader, which is pretty reasonable honestly. So I was trying to find any card that I could slot in that gap, and this one seemed to fit the best, but definitely considering running Blood Moons over Waltz, but we'll see. So if you do enjoy this video, definitely try this deck. I recommend it. So we're going to get right into it and check it out. So both our matches in this video are going to be against rune. Different variants of rune. One I think is a more traditional spell rune. The other one is more of a I'm not really sure. It was a weird rune deck, honestly, but you're about to see them both, so I thought why not. They were both good matches. They were reasonably quick, so expect this video to be on the shorter side. This is a very fast deck, and I'm trying to pump out a fair amount of content for you guys very quickly, so I can sort out some hopefully big plans, which you guys may know about before this video goes up. Actually, we'll have to wait and see how those plans go, but hopefully that will be exciting. So we have Savage Wolf, Snarling Chains, Emerald, all really good cards. Getting Spider-Man onto is almost a perfect line of play, especially when I can follow up with a Savage Wolf, guaranteeing us 3 damage to the face this turn. Of course we still have Bahamut, which is a pretty decent card, especially when comboed with Snarling Chains. So we are going to get a decent chunk of damage here. We're going to get 4 this turn, plus the 2 off the Bahamut, which will draw us 8 card, which is great. I love drawing cards off Bahamut. And of course it had to be a Savage Wolf, which with another Snarling Chains does set up turn 5 very well. Especially with an Evo point, so even if they play a ward, as long as it's below 3, we are safe. Of course they are going to remove these fairly well though. So we are only going to be left with probably the Bahamut, so we can get 7 damage next turn. Plus we will remove the 3/3. There is the Razor Claw as well. Another very nice card.
Go!
So 6 damage to the face, leave them at 6. Razor Claw and Emeralda will be a lethal condition, provided that neither of these stay on board of course. It's just a matter of getting Emeralda to be playable. So you do require being in Vengeance a lot of the time to get to your win conditions, which is why I think Waltz or a Blood Moon might be a little bit better than running the Disagreeable Demon of course, but at the moment this deck still does quite well. There is a Master Mage Levi. Just setting my lethal up perfectly for me. I mean, if they hadn't have played that, I wouldn't have been in Vengeance. Honestly, it did require some players to be a little dumb. Setting your opponent to Vengeance when you can tell it's a Vengeance Blood is really dangerous. So next up, we have another rune of course, as I mentioned. Again, the runes were reasonably different enough that I felt these matches were fine for this video for you guys. So starting out with Emeralda, not a good idea. I like to preferably draw Emeralda out later when I need it. Especially in this matchup where rune you can be extremely aggressive. You don't really need to hold anything back because you're really just trying to kill them before they kill you. So our curve again, pretty much perfect, this time with Goblin, which is even better, meaning we get just that little bit extra damage out early. Silent Laboratory, not really an issue. So the next play I make was a little iffy. I probably should have went for the Savage Wolf over the Disagreeable Demon. I went for the Disagreeable Demon just kind of because I wanted some extra protection on the board, and I know it could deal well with some of the followers that they're going to be playing, but after seeing Silent Laboratory, you know you're playing against something that isn't a traditional kind of D-shift deck normally, so... Well, I say D-shift, but it's definitely more Giant Chimera, sort of Unbodied Witch decks these days, especially with D-shift not being in rotation, but it's a similar premise, of course. So we just go face, of course, being aggressive, exactly what you want, nothing more, nothing less. Turn 5, Savage Wolf Razor Claw is 7 damage. Not so lucky, that Mammoth is going to be a problem. I have learnt from the previous Mammoth mistakes, if you've seen my previous videos, and now realise that that does banish itself. So we're definitely not misplaying on this. It's not a card I expect to see again. I've maybe fought this card. This is probably the second time I've ever come up against the Mammoth Rush card, which is absolutely crazy to think about. So I did go for the Vanguard Paradise Vanguard, that one, to remove the Stellar pretty much immediately. Plus it does set up a nice board for them to have to deal with. So we do have Waltz. I really wanted to play Waltz actually. I wanted to get him out. I was tempted to do it in this next turn as you're about to see, but I do decide to forego Waltz for just more pure damage.
Dear world.
So this was a little annoying, and they really did a good job at using their followers like this. Being able to remove everything really easily. Of course, they probably could have kept almost everything if they went a different way about it, but they really wanted to avoid taking damage. So as you can see, I avoided playing Waltz only to go for more damage because I did draw the Emeralda, which meant all I had to do was stick the 4 damage to their face next turn as long as I end up in Vengeance. Which, with Mysterian and White Worm coming down, and then ramming this into my follower, all they need to do is send these 2 other followers to my face, and I win the game. Did take a second for them to decide to do it, but they eventually did, and that meant our Emeralda was our win condition again. This card literally wins you games at this point.
Woo! You got the stuff.
So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I quite enjoy blood decks, so it's a lot of fun to play them. This deck did extremely well. I mean, I only ended up playing about 4 to 5 games, and I only lost 1 out of them, so it was very, very good for this. And I played very similar decks in the past, of course without Waltz before that was released, but it still does really well. So I recommend giving it a go. Again, if you want to swap in Waltz 2 more for the Disagreeable Demon, definitely the optimal play, but this does just fine. So of course, deck list in the description below. Hit the like button and subscribe for more content, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.